For our purposes, for the Complete Athlete Podcast, this is the Complete Athlete Podcast, where we get you to the next level in your sport and in life. I've perfected the intro.
Nice.
I am filling in for Gabe today. It is Easter Sunday, so we are going to be doing this podcast a little bit differently from home instead of at the National Sports Center like we usually do.
Yes, sir, in the Duffy room.
Yeah, we had it reserved, and then I messed up, but we'll move beyond that.
Yes,
but
sir.
Here we are again, better audio with the first guest that we had on the podcast, Mason Price, my brother, Coach Mason Price. How you doing, big guy?
I'm doing great. I'm glad we're doing another one, get the a little bit better audio for this one. But, no, I really enjoyed the first one, and, I'm just excited to kind of update people of where we're at, where I'm at, and, yeah. Yeah,
I've had a few questions in my mind. Obviously, I've been a little bit more behind the scenes now that I've been a little more active with my role here with CA. My transition into a new job has allowed me more freedom, and I get to do behind the scenes stuff and watch you and Liam and other private sessions that you've done and get them mic'd up, and I might have to throw that in here. And
yeah, absolutely. That'd be a great idea to kind of put that thumbnail in there or whatever it is, put the link in there for that video. But yeah, it was a good time. I think the kids enjoyed it too when you came in and mic'd them up. So,
they were so happy, but they were also, I think they were trying to find ways to get on the coach's nerves. I think that's the right word for it. Testing John Carlson's every last nerve, and Xander is hilarious. I think miking him up might be a thing. Getting him on like a first base or third base coach line mic'd up, he's gonna be hilarious.
Yep.
But no, I liked your session a lot. I think the coaches clinic you guys did was really cool. So tell us about the coaches clinic. What did you like about that?
Yeah. So we did it last year as well. We did a coaches clinic for ball, Blaine area Little League, and it went well last year. But that was my first time doing it, so it's kind of weird as a 25-year-old to teach adults, 40, 50, whatever age they are, who are coaching and volunteering for the Little League teams. It was a little bit of an intimidating thing at first, but again, the first time we did it last year, I felt like I got too detailed into it. And this year I felt like I perfected, kind of how to, and I'm going to continue to get better, of course, but I felt like it went a lot better this year in terms of just kind of teaching the coaches a better way to run practices and how to handle, 12 players.
Yeah.
I feel like last year I kind of went at it like a private lesson viewpoint. Because that's what I do half the time is I do private lessons, and then the other half of the time I'm coaching. So I have to, bounce between one-on-ones, sometimes one-on-4s if it's a group lesson, and then 1-on-12 or 2-on-12 sometimes.
Right.
So, it is a balancing act. And I think, this year went really well. I gave, the coaches plenty of drills and plenty of games to do to kind of just keep the kids entertained and not have kids just sitting around, what I mean? So yeah, it's funny, as I'm going through these clinics, I realize how much from just my knowledge I'm just kind of taking from my brain. I'm not really planning it I try to plan it out. It never goes the way I plan it out in the moment. So, it's a fun little riffing session of me just trying to give the coaches the most basic way to, help the kids' mechanics, but also not focus too much on it. And
that makes a lot of sense because, like, I think with your anxiety around teaching older people, and I think it comes from or I feel it too, is we don't feel like we value so much of what we think as much as other people maybe do, because we're hard on ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's something that we've noticed in previous podcasts. We're very hypercritical, so we're not thinking that we provide as much value as we actually do.
Yeah.
And I think our link to these young kids and the ability to connect to them is something that older people are looking to do. And as a coach, maybe you're a first-time coach, you've never done any of these things. You've never done any drills.
Absolutely.
We're not from that. Our dad knew all these drills.
We were very lucky.
Was willing to go and find better ways to do this. He did coaches clinics. Now that I think about it, when he was going to those clinics with us, he was probably listening and writing down notes too.
Right.
which is crazy to me to think about that. Like, we thought our dad maybe knew everything, and honestly, I did, and I'm sure that at first he didn't know everything, but got to that point.
Yeah, it's just about, whether you're just a volunteer coach or whether you're, getting paid to do it like I am. It's always adapting. It's always trying to get better. Never feeling like you're always right. It's just being humble is really what it is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's the best way to teach the kids. Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Do you think that because you are younger, they look at you as a valuable asset to connect to those younger kids?
Absolutely.
And maybe because they're looking at ways. I mean, everybody knows that a kid's attention span is pretty small right now. It's hard to reach these kids. So what do you what are our what's the first pro tip, I guess, that like you said, maybe games? Was that the first pro tip?
Well, before I get into that, I feel like that was a big part of it, is that these coaches they see that the kids will listen to us. They see that we're doing a good job training them, and I think it does have to do with us being younger, and we do have that knowledge of the game, of course, but I do think that us being younger, the kids don't really look at us as like the old guys or like parents.
Right.
You know what I mean? They kind of look at us like older brothers, and I think that helps a lot. But also just teaching the older guys, the parents or the coaches who are volunteering for Little League, teaching them how to just kind of be more personable or just have more fun.
Yeah,
like you were kind of getting into, and there's a balance between having fun and getting stuff done.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to pick the right games. Okay, so what you were touching on is the gamification of drills, or the gamification of practice is probably the biggest tool that I've used in my training and my coaching in the past year, and it's a skill that every coach should learn.
Yeah.
Basically, for those who don't know, gamification is just making a game out of a certain drill or a certain mechanic or a certain movement in baseball. So if you're trying to get a kid to pull the ball a little bit better, sometimes hyper-focusing on the mechanics might not work for that kid. For especially the younger the kid is, they're not very good at recreating movements that the coach is trying to show them. So instead, you kind of give them external tasks to do. So like, hey, hit that thing over there, right?
Yeah.
And they don't really want to do it unless there's stakes involved. You know what I mean? Unless there's a competition or a game involved. So that's where, games like where I call target practice, which is pretty self-explanatory. You just set up targets around the cage or the field, or if you're right next to a net, you can maybe even put tape in a certain spot for them to aim for, and just try to get them to be better at pulling the ball that way, just going for a target. You know what I mean? Sometimes at the younger age, you don't want to get too far into the mechanics and just let them figure it out on their own. And that's where the games come in. You're letting them have fun while they're also working on the mechanics at the same time.
That disconnect between what you're talking about when they go overboard on trying to over focus on that one thing is called feel versus real.
Yeah,
absolutely. I like using that term from golf because that's where for me that's where I learned it. It's probably attributable to every sport, but the feel versus real, what you see and what you feel are completely different sometimes.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it takes even looking into a camera or doing these external tasks, like playing these games, to learn how to get your body in the right motion. Even though it doesn't feel like you are, you'll notice that you're doing the right things, and you're like, oh, that's the real. This is the feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a hard thing to teach a young kid.
It's very hard, and that's the thing that I'm constantly trying to get better at, is finding that balance of that hey, yes, you have to have certain mechanics right, and they have to be sharp and they have to be consistent, but like you also have to have feel. You know what I mean? Sometimes it has to just flow and feel good, or baseball and sports in general take a lot of just feel and naturalness. And you can't always teach that, but there are ways to help them achieve that feel. And one of the best ways is to just not overcomplicate their mind, to not overdo it on the mechanics.
I think you talked about that when you were talking to those coaches. You said that, like, I got a little too over, in depth. I thought I treated it like a private lesson, and now that you simplified it, I have 30 minutes of great content that I have recorded of that session, and I was like, dude, the whole time I was listening, and sometimes I was forgetting to like change the camera angle because like I needed to follow where you were going to kind of like make the content better, but it was because I was listening, and it was because it seemed like it was honest. It wasn't like you scripted it or anything. It was like you were just trying to teach these guys as honestly as possible.
And I think that's probably my best attribute for complete athlete is just like my passion, and I'm just very honest and real with my training sessions and my coaching. I just I just try to put everything I have into it while I'm there, and I feel like it pays off.
It definitely shows because the kids respond every single time. I mean, my favorite part was, even a couple months ago when your episode aired, it was like 3 months later, a kid found the episode and commented and said, "Hey, Coach Mason, this is so and so. Like, you're awesome."
Yeah.
And it's like that's months later. I mean, that's an impact. That's a lasting impact.
Yeah.
That I admire a lot because like our family is very good at coaching, and I think that ability to want to help people get better at things is something that's kind of an art, and there's a lot of patience involved.
Absolutely.
I admire your patience too. As we've grown up, I think you and I both know that like our patience has gone up and down with certain things because of how we were raised. But like getting better at things, we get frustrated with ourselves. But like I can see you're very patient with these kids. And I think that's another great attribute that maybe, I don't know if you've noticed that you have too.
Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed it, but what I'll say is that I've probably learned more in these past 2 or 3 years that I've done this than my whole life. Like let me rephrase that. I've grown so much
that's a better word, yeah.
From teaching these kids. They've taught me so much about life and myself, and how to have patience is probably the biggest thing. Is you can't not have patience with some of these kids that I work with. So, that's another reason why I'm so thankful for this job. Like the obvious reasons why I am, thankful for this job is that I get to do baseball for a job. You know what I mean? But the fact that I get to really impact kids' lives is another good thing. But man, I am just evolving as a person myself so much because of this job, and that's probably the coolest part about this.
Oh, we've all seen you grow, and I think it's cool to me that like, when people talk about progress in terms of like what, we've been through so much. I know that, but like even outside people, like when I had EJ on the podcast, he talked about Dad, he talked about you. He's just like, you prices stay working, and it's like it's because we are very driven people, but it's because we want to help other people, and it really stems from just like when we acquire knowledge, it's because we want to give back.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a valuable asset that I hope that we never lose, because I want to give back in the production realm. If I can teach people how to do this stuff. It's the same thing with golf. It's the same thing with baseball for you guys. And I actually want to talk about your progress, because on the first podcast that we had with you, we were talking about your progress in baseball as well, because you are still playing.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how your tee work is going, because you talked about getting better and getting more speed off the tee, but also lifting and all that stuff. And
so I have definitely gone really hard on the lifting aspect of it. I'm stronger than I've ever been. My joints feel better than I've ever felt before. But I still haven't done any baseball really skills so far this year. It's kind of tough when I'm there 4 to 5 hours a day for me to want to stay an extra hour or get there an hour early to do some work on my own.
Yeah.
So I am lacking there, but I am a coach, so it's like I don't feel guilty for it.
Right.
My main goal this offseason was to show myself and my players how to lift like a baseball player, and I feel like I have done that.
Okay.
In terms of, again, my joints feel better than they've ever felt before, which you need healthy joints in order to keep getting stronger and in order to play baseball and stay healthy. But number two, I am as strong. I'm stronger than I've ever been before, and I feel like that will show up on the baseball field when I do make contact with the ball, or when I do, when I get my arm in shape. I feel like
Yeah.
that strength is really going to show. So I am excited to see that.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, this is related to complete athlete because we have done basketball before. But
Yeah.
I've probably been playing basketball 2 to 3 times a week.
I've noticed
winter.
that. I've noticed that you've been on the basketball
Yeah,
court.
I mean, it's when you're in Minnesota in the winter, you can't play games.
I can't golf either. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would be playing basketball too.
Exactly, and I love it. I love basketball so much, and a lot of the stuff that I'm doing for my joints, for my knees and stuff like that are very related to jumping and basketball, stuff like that.
Well, conditioning too, I think involved in basketball is very healthy for you.
100%.
In my opinion.
100%. And we always talked about playing multiple sports to our kids, how helpful that is. So yeah, even though I haven't been doing really many baseball skills, I still am confident that the work I have been doing is going to show up on the field. I just, I don't really have that anxiety or stress of like not having my skills cleaned up, because at the end of the day, I'm just doing town ball now, and I'm really just focused on setting an example for my kids more than anything. This is less about my playing career and more about just becoming a better trainer.
Well, it's also
and still having fun.
You want to help these kids avoid the same issues that maybe we ran into, and any of those vices that we had that I'm sure, like video games and stuff like that. I'm sure we want to encourage kids not to like indulge too much in those types of things.
100%.
But like you said, you're a coach. You're human. You're like, I get to hang out and play town ball, and it's fun for me.
Absolutely.
It's not like it's a job. So no, I knew that when I asked that question that you would have had progress in something, because I know us, and I know that basketball is something that we both love. I mean, we were both really good basketball players in high school, and I think it was a great outlet for conditioning, like we said, but like it was just mainly like widening our variety of like skills. And I think that allowed us to like just keep our options open in terms of like skill set addition and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I might have thought I was okay at basketball in high school, but I was not. Looking back at it, I was not good at basketball. I was okay at it, but I feel a lot better. Like I'm a lot better at it now because of my lifting and I just feel far more athletic now than I ever have before. And that's just the work I've been putting into the gym. And again, that's the main thing I'm trying to show to my kids is even as a washed up town ball player like me, like I can still get things done. I can still beat most kids in a race that I coach. I can still jump higher than most of these kids. You know what I mean? I might not be able to throw as hard as these kids anymore because my shoulder and all that stuff is messed up.
You and me both.
But it's fun to be able to show the kids my athleticism once in a while. And
kids
show them that this is what you guys should be doing now. Don't make the mistake. Again, I talked about this in the first podcast. Don't make the mistake I did in getting complacent in high school. Let's get bigger now, and it's not about just getting bigger. It's just getting stronger and better range of motion, so we can throw the ball harder and we can hit the ball harder and we can run faster. That's really all.
I wish it was just hammered home a little bit more when we were
absolutely
maybe because
I agree.
For me it just wasn't hammered home as much.
Yeah, for us it was all about skills, and very important, right? And
we acquired those skills quickly, and then it was like we reached that plateau where
that's where
the skills just don't take you any further.
Once you reach a certain peak or plateau, you got to change something up. There's something else that needs to be done so that you can keep getting better no matter what. And 9 times out of 10, it's usually like someone's diet or someone's work ethic in the gym. You know what I mean? Those are two things that are really easily changed or easily identifiable that need to be changed for most of our athletes.
Yeah, and honestly, like I think that is like the tail of the tape for like 99% of people, because like if you're going to want to get to that level, like you're gonna have to put in work in every aspect of everything, get good at stuff, and like try to really just maximize your skills. I mean, there are those rare cases where you get that person who's got mastery in this one aspect that for some reason just makes them an asset on a certain sports team or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I can think of a couple people who are just like speed guys in baseball,
Mhm.
Billy Hamilton, whatever. Like, his skills and defense and like speed are his like two main assets, but that's not what makes you a baseball player
Yeah.
or a complete
I
athlete.
guarantee he's still working as hard as he can on his contact, on his
Mhm.
power, all of
All
the
of
other
that.
aspects that he
But
might
he
not
knows,
be
but
as
he
good.
knows he's mastered his speed, and
100%.
like if as long as he keeps mastering it, like I feel like he's gonna always be an asset or a tool to a team.
Mhm.
So like there are rare cases where like you can master something and get really good at it, but it's rare. So like if you want to really maximize your skills, do these types of things. You want to be able to be a 5-tool player. You got to work
100%.
hard at that.
It's such hard work. It's work that I wasn't willing to put in as a high schooler, as most high schoolers are not willing to put in. But it's the work that is required if you
Yeah.
do want to play college baseball, if you do want to try to play professionally.
Yep.
You have to be different, and you have to sacrifice a lot, and you have to just put your whole life into it. And
The key phrase I always put is like you just have to want it.
yeah,
You have to want it more than anything else.
yeah. And if you're not sure if you don't want it or not, act like you do want it until you are 100% sure you don't want
Yeah.
it.
The fake it till you make it stuff works. Trust me.
It does work in some aspects, and it really helps you not leave any regrets out
Yeah.
there or leave anything out. Just, not having any regrets when you get older. Is if you're not sure if you're not sure if you really, really love it, pretend like you do really, really love it and work as hard as you can and try to get as far as you can until you know for a fact you don't love it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to regret it. You don't want to be like me and realize like, dang, I actually did really love this stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I would have acted like it in high school. You know what I mean?
Or like in my case, let somebody get in the way of that dream. Like there is some part of me that wishes like, hey, I wish I would have known certain things to help push myself beyond that point. And
Yeah.
that's what you're trying to say, really.
And that's why I am happy and blessed to be a trainer now, is because now I can pass down that knowledge and that try again. I said it last time, but I'd rather them learn from our mistakes first before they learn from their own mistakes. They're always going to learn from their own mistakes as well, but if you can learn from someone else's first, even better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's how I feel like I've always learned. So if I can prevent people from falling flat on their face like I always do when I learn something,
Yeah.
it's like people say you got to put your nose to the grindstone. I'm like, I put my whole freaking head in there for some reason to learn, because it's just like I don't know any other way to do things. Like, so if I can help prevent people from feeling the kind of, I guess the trauma from learning that way, like then like we can help give them that next leg up. But then also prepare them for when those big moments do happen, because then they're like, oh, I've learned from these types of moments before.
Yep, absolutely.
Our parents put us in that scenario a lot. Like, I feel like growing up.
You either win or you learn. That's pretty cliche, but it's true.
I mean,
sure.
I hate losing, and that's because Dad would say stuff like that, and I'd be like, I know he's saying like we learned from the loss, but I hate losing. Like, I hate losing more than I like winning, and that's just a competitive thing for me. And And
and it's hard to turn that off.
It really is. Like, I'm still to this day, like, I have my new job. They have this wall mounted bag game. It's got a little ledge and it's a triangle, so it gets slimmer as it goes up. And there's a tiny hole, 5 points, medium sized hole, 3 points.
It kind of sounds like our target practice game.
Exactly. It's kind of like that. And you get 4 bags. If it drops on the ground, -1. Lands on the ledge, you're 0, 1, 3, 5. Your goal is to get to 40 on the dot. I got really competitive.
Yeah, I bet you did.
And it's
Sounds
like
you.
it's like day 3 at my new job, and I'm just like, I should maybe tone it down a little bit so that these guys don't think I'm a dick. Because like at every instance, if I'm trying to win everything, it's just like it'll probably rub people the wrong way.
Yeah. But that's just part of the price nature, just competitive. So
We've been trying to be complete athletes since before complete athlete was a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's why I think the motto and everything kind of vibes with us, because that's without even knowing it, we did that we tried to be 5-tool players in both basketball, baseball.
Yeah.
We didn't really play that much football, but like, I mean, I still tried to do everything. I just wasn't that big.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I love football, but I always tell my kids, you better love football, otherwise it's not worth it.
Yeah,
You know, you might as well
yeah.
play a sport like baseball, like much better chance of making way more money, or playing college baseball and then actually going somewhere after that. Yeah, play baseball.
Well, and
Kids play
I
baseball.
feel like retaining your ability to form sentences is like a
Yeah.
very key thing.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that
I
we know
mean,
what CTE
again,
is.
this is not an anti-football podcast by any means. If you love football, keep playing it. Protect your head. I don't know what else to say about that. Protect your head.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, as soon as you know you've got your bell rung, just I hope you take yourself out. Like, I know those people who have the ego, like they want to die on the football field, and it's just like that's a scary mindset to have.
Yeah.
You know, I love my sport of baseball, but I'm like, I know it's not violent enough for me to even get to that level. So
I mean, hey, sometimes that baseball can get you.
I mean,
baseball can get you.
If we start policing each other like we used to, then maybe beating each other and not getting tossed out of games, then we might see some.
No, I'm talking about the actual baseball itself. I'm talking about the actual baseball itself. When people are throwing 100 miles per hour.
True.
That can truly change somebody's life if that hits you in the wrong spot.
Oh yeah.
So.
I mean, ask Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, he had to get facial reconstructive surgery. I mean, that dude.
Kirby Puckett,
same thing. Yeah. I mean, lost an eye for it. So it's tough. I mean, baseball will always like be my love, and I think that's apparent. I think, but like now that I've transitioned into golf, I'm hoping to add that to CA and be able to really do the same thing you're doing and help people avoid mistakes that I've made learning how to be crappy at golf. I'm not that good, so I got to get better.
No, I mean, I think you could be a very good coach for that, though. So, again, that's why Gabe called it Complete Athlete, because, even though we're very baseball focused, we are we do softball. We have done basketball in the past. We very open to doing other sports because we realize that not everyone's just going to play one sport at a time, especially at a young age.
Yeah.
Middle school kids, we almost encourage them to play multiple sports. So, we just want to be an outlet to help these kids gain confidence and get better. So if we have to do other sports, I'm sure Gabe is still very willing to do that. We just need, maybe a little bit more marketing towards that
I think so too,
more coaches that are willing to do that stuff. I have a busy baseball schedule, but I do have some time for basketball. So Gabe, when you are listening to this podcast, I am willing to do it. So
yeah, and I'm willing to do golf and baseball too, because I still know a few things.
We could do some
baseball.
make a brand called Complete Production. You can teach kids how to do some
production stuff. Yeah,
that's honestly
and fly
that's
drones.
actually a really good idea.
And fly drones, because I'm drone certified. They'll be having fun.
They were having a drone. They rented out the dome that we are in for some drone stuff.
That's cool, because like drone racing and stuff like that is becoming a thing. Like,
absolutely.
There's a lot of programs. Like I practiced on.
Still need your thumbs to be an athlete.
Oh yeah. It's a good hand-eye coordination. We played
absolutely.
video games. It helped me for sure. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like anybody who's played video games is probably going to be a decent like drone pilot at first, but like I swear to God, anybody who's played like first person or third person shooter is going to be godlike. Like they like the ability to like just know like that spatial awareness of where you are in first person is just it's very evident.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely a lot easier for someone who plays video games than it's like a 40-year-old guy who hasn't played video games or whatever. So
well, in the essence of that dome, like I had this idea for Gabe. I was like, well, if we start getting all these sports, he's gonna need his own like factory, like kind of like how Joe Boyce had that area bought out from that place in Coon Rapids or whatever.
Yeah,
but like
Acceleration or something like that.
Acceleration, that's right. A place like that where it's like you got like a big field, enough turf space for games to actually go on, but then like side stuff, office space, all it. He needs that. Eventually, in the distant future.
We know he knows that he needs that and that we need that, but it takes its time for sure. It's expensive, and we are very lucky to be where we're at right now with the NSC and the Dome. They help us out a lot, so we're in a good space right now. But yeah, like it's only up from here, like you said.
I think promoting it is my job, but then like growing the brand from the inside out is the coaches and Gabe's job, and You guys are doing a
It's gonna-
fantastic
Thank
job.
you.
Like
Thank you.
I love doing the behind the scenes stuff for you guys. The people on YouTube who are listening to this, you're gonna see more of that. You guys should actually go to the Instagram if you guys want to see that stuff. I know Gabe is promoting a lot of what CA does on there. And
Absolutely. And I kind of want to touch base on that quickly.
Yeah.
We have 2 tournaments coming up for our 12U, 13U, and 14U spring club teams, AAU baseball here. So next weekend we're going to Kansas City. We're driving down there. We are practicing or playing at a place called Top Flight, KC.
Okay.
So that's going to be a cool tournament. And then we have a tournament in Iowa the following weekend. And so the Complete Athlete page will probably be, posting some pictures on Instagram, some updates maybe. We are on Game Changer as well.
Okay.
So, we could maybe put some links in the description or whatever so you can try and follow these teams because, we're up and coming.
Yeah.
We're a very new club team as well. So, we're just trying to compete with the bigger teams, the bigger clubs, and we're excited to finally get outside. We've been indoors for the past 6 months
It
doing
finally
baseball.
feels like spring.
I know, right?
Oh
And
my
we
God.
could almost start having baseball in Minnesota soon.
Yeah.
Twins, we just don't have all that technology the Twins have. The fields aren't quite ready yet.
We don't have heated fields.
Exactly, but it sounds like Kansas City and Iowa will be ready to
wonderful,
go,
yeah.
and
I might have to try to snag a ride with you guys down to KC because, well, one, I want to go to the Negro League Baseball Museum and surprise
That'd
Bob
be cool.
Kendrick, and show up and just be like, hey, remember me? Go. It's only been a few weeks, but he corresponded with me and said that he would like to be on the podcast.
That's awesome.
So I might I might bum a ride down there and just surprise him and just say, hey man, I want to see, because I really want to see the museum.
Yeah.
The museum is amazing. We have a tie to Satchel Paige through our grandfather, which I think is a cool story that I kind of want to save for, because I got the full details from Grandpa.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to save it for the podcast. So
We should almost have him tell the story.
what I was thinking of doing was
or maybe
having
you can either get him in person or on Zoom or something.
I mean, look how mobile this is. I could bring this with me in my backpack, pull this up, and just set it up somewhere, have him sit down, and then get Grandpa on the phone.
Yeah.
And then, or FaceTime or something, and just like
every family has stories like this, but Grandpa Craig, he's a local legend in Montana, in Sydney, Montana.
People know who we are before we know who they are there, which is the freakiest thing.
It is definitely freaky. He is definitely a celebrity in the small town of Sydney. But
well, they see a Minnesota plate, and nowadays, and I heard this from our cousins and from 2 people who work at the golf course who I used to work with. Anytime they see a Minnesota plate, they think I'm back in town. Me specifically, because I used to work at the golf course.
You spend a good time.
I spent a lot of time there. But anytime that a Minnesota plate's in town, they're thinking that one of us is there. My dad included. So, or our dad, I shouldn't say.
Your dad.
My dad. But our dad is a legend there too. So like anytime he's there or we're there, like people are like, oh, it's like their ears perk up.
Yeah.
So I kind of miss that a little bit. And Grandpa wants to bring better baseball to that. I mean, he brought Joe Boyce out there. So like I think Complete Athlete, if they can move out into other places and stuff like that, I know that could be a thing in the future. I feel like that's
a really good idea.
I know there's a lot of places that are devoid of good coaching, and I think what you guys bring and the message you bring and how Gabe kind of works with coaches before getting you guys running is
absolutely. It's
tremendous.
not about just us getting with the kids. It's also about us getting with the coaches.
Yeah.
And the coaches who do need the help, who do need the advice on how to be better coaches, and the coaches who are willing to be better coaches. That's always going to be like the first step right there. If you're willing to be a better coach, you will make it happen somehow. But again, that's one thing that we've started doing just last year that we really enjoy doing, because we realize when we're helping 40 coaches. Times that by 12. Can you do 40 times 12? Or let's do 40 times 10. Let's say at least 400 kids are being impacted.
Yeah.
Just based on one coach's clinic, 1 2-hour session of coaches coming in to getting.
Yeah.
an idea of how to better run a practice and how to look for
That's
the basic
awesome.
mechanics. Yeah, and I really enjoyed doing
I mean,
the coaches
those
clinic,
coaches
for sure.
clinics are so valuable. Doesn't matter what age you are. I feel like if you're looking into getting better as a coach,
Yeah,
or trying to find out new ways, it will always benefit you to learn
And-
what other people are doing.
and the thing is, we do it too.
Mhm.
We're not the only. We don't think we're the highest. We're the hierarchy, and we know what's best. That's not at all. We go to clinics too.
Mhm.
We had 3 coaches go to the twins clinic earlier this year. So we're constantly learning. We're constantly evolving. We're not stealing things from anybody, but we definitely take a lot of our ideas from the professionals, the professional ball clubs, and just other trainers throughout the world who post
feel
their
like
stuff on Instagram.
In the coaching world, stealing is not the right word, because like
Mhm.
if you want to get better at anything in coaching, like learning the best ways to do things is the only way to get
Mhm.
better at things. If you're teaching the improper way to do things, then that athlete's not getting the maximum amount out of it.
Mhm.
So like, and you mentioned to me off the podcast that like Gabe wants you getting like certifications to help you improve
Yeah,
that too.
absolutely.
So like you guys are getting better.
I have
single
a
day.
couple certifications through Driveline now. I just got a sports psychology certification through Udemy. And I'm just gonna keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think in the future plans, I actually might possibly try and do like my master's for sports psychology, just to kind of up the ante, up my value,
Heck yeah.
and up the company's value, and give these kids the best type of training they can possibly
Yeah,
get.
you want to give back as much as you can.
Mhm. Because I think, I mean, I touched on it a lot in the first podcast, but a big part of these skills is the mental side, and sports psychology is becoming a pretty popular topic
Yeah.
recently. So, a lot of our parents, our customers are asking about that, and we're providing, and I'm going to continue to provide and get better at that aspect as well. I think that's honestly my biggest contribution to this company is, I don't think I'm the most skilled trainer we have in terms of baseball ability. We have guys who have gone further in terms of their baseball careers, but I feel like I do a really good job of connecting with the kids, and I actually do enjoy. It's harder. It's definitely harder work, and it's exhausting to work with our younger kids, like 6 through 8. But most 6 through 8 kids are just gonna have less attention span, and it's definitely harder. It's a challenge, but that is some of the most important years of those kids' lives, where they are really learning and becoming who they are as humans.
Those are essential skills.
Exactly. So I take great pride in working with those kids, and I feel like, again, I'm not the most skilled trainer, but I'm very willing to work with these young kids, and I think I do a good job at it.
Heck
sure.
yeah. I think no matter what level you attain as a player, I feel like you should always utilize that to like the best of your ability. But that's why I hate when like they say like, oh, a coach didn't play this level and he's a coach in this. It's like his knowledge of the game shouldn't be determined by what level of the sport he attained.
Yeah.
It's like, what level has he studied beyond this? And I think CA becoming like maybe like a one-stop shop, and you'll have coaches who have psychology masteries would essentially mean that like if a kid wants to come in there, get coached and find out the mental side of things, he doesn't have to go to 2 different places.
Yeah.
He can go to one, talk with Coach Mason, get the full, and Coach Mason's there at the games too, coaching third base or first base, or talking outfield from the chirping at me trying to get better, like all that stuff. Like that is going to be a fun transition, I think, in the future for not just you, but like for Gabe, complete athlete, and everybody else. So
we're just trying to build that culture of getting better, working hard, and I feel like other sports have done this better and earlier than baseball has, especially in Minnesota. It's just really tough to get good off-season work in terms of baseball. And it's really tough to get into good off-season programs in terms of like playing baseball as well in Minnesota. Like you're gonna have to travel down south in order to play actual games. But I just feel like what we're offering at Complete Athlete is just becoming more encompassing to everything that they need as baseball players and athletes in general, and just humans in life. Like they're realizing in a couple weeks, like, hey, if I work at something, I get better at it, and it's like that in everything in life.
Yeah.
If you do that, if you want to get better at the piano, if you want to get better at algebra, if you want to get better at whatever it is, whatever career that you want to go into after you're done with high school, we're basically providing that framework of, hey, if you put the work in, and not just like blindly putting the work in, but having like a set, organized way of doing it. I think we're really setting these kids up for their future.
For success,
sure.
for sure, dude. I mean, with that being said, I think we should probably wrap up the podcast, only
absolutely.
because if we do, we're going to talk forever. I know you and I could.
Yeah, we really could.
But where can listeners find you? Again, I know we listed that.
So my Instagram is at Coach Mason Price. I'm on there a decent amount. I am still, I think I might have touched on it in the first podcast, but I was doing the 90 mile per hour formula by Dr. Heenan, and I haven't stopped doing that. But as I was doing it, as my deadlift started getting up, I got up to 300 pounds. I realized my joints weren't ready to handle that workload. So maybe my muscles were strong enough to handle some of this weight, but my joints might not have been. So I've been doing a lot of just joint health work, a lot of elbow, a lot of shoulder workouts, just to make sure, a lot of knee workouts, a lot of hip workouts to just to be able to handle that load. So yeah, that's what you'll see on my coaching Instagram, and then find us on the CompleteAthleteTraining.com website. We have our clinics on there. We have our sign-ups on there. We have I'm really excited about what we're doing this summer with our, not only we're doing clinics for all age groups, but our 16U. I'm coaching a 16U team as well this summer. And we're almost putting them through like a college-like atmosphere where they're going to have, practice 3 to 4 times a week, and then they're going to have opportunities to be on the field. They'll be doing their normal skills like hitting, fielding, pitching, throwing, all that stuff. But then there's also going to be weight room. We're going to have weight room for them to be. We have Legacy Fitness for now is one place that we are going to be training at. Zach Dykes is our training, our strength and conditioning coach. So he's going to handle a lot of that, and I'm going to be helping out with a lot of that as well. But then also we're going to be doing classroom stuff, both baseball IQ, but also sports psychology stuff. So, I mean, the value that these 16-year-olds are about to get on our club team, I feel like this is where we differ from being a training program first, is that we're not just offering an opportunity to pay money and be on a club team and get to travel and play other teams. We are going to make the kids better. Yeah. We are going to train them. We are going to still offer them, like 1-on-4 lessons and stuff like that. Like, these kids are going to get better for sure. And I think that's one thing that's missing. I played club baseball at a really nice program. But I just feel like there wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time for us to get better individually. It was just kind of get in there and get your own work in and get out. And I'm really excited with what we have this summer. And we'll have a ton of content, I think, to post this summer.
I'm going to be behind the scenes miking you up.
Absolutely.
Miking up some players. Hopefully they stay PG.
Yeah, some of our 16-year-olds, man, we've had some issues with that lately with some bad words, man. I get it.
They really want to be mic'd up, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, they just got to learn how to filter themselves, because everybody hears cuss words now. You're going to hear it all over the internet and all that stuff. And I'll leave you with this little bit of advice before I leave. It's still a game. It's almost like politics in a way. When you're trying to get to the next level, not just D1 or college baseball, just to getting to the varsity level in high school, it's gonna take some discipline in terms of kind of filtering yourself a little bit. If you're somebody who likes to cuss, if you're somebody who likes to talk about inappropriate things, I'm not gonna judge you, but do that at home. Learn how to do that at home, and learn how to turn that off as soon as you enter the school, the playing field, or wherever you're practicing, because that will be the deciding factor for college coaches, for college scouts. Everybody's good at that level.
Yeah.
Everybody is talented. Everybody can hit the ball 90 plus miles per hour. Everybody can throw the ball 90 plus miles per hour. So from then on, it's basically who has the better attitude, who's the better teammate, who's a better leader, who's a better student, who's a better just human overall. And again, I'm not saying cussing makes you a worse human being. It just doesn't, it's not a good optic. It doesn't make you look professional. It doesn't
kind of goes back to maturity almost too.
Yeah, just realizing that, you know, there's a time and place for everything. If you really want to cuss, you know, go in the corner and yell at yourself and cuss, whatever. But, you know, especially when we have 8-year-olds in the same vicinity as our 16-year-olds. We don't know what their parents want for them in terms of their vocabulary.
Right.
So we just tell our 16-year-olds to just shut it. You know what I mean? Just filter yourself. Act like, you know, your mom is here and she'll ground you if you say anything bad. Because, again, we don't want to be the reason why any of our 8-year-olds are saying certain bad words. Let them figure that out. They're going to figure that out anyways on the internet.
Yeah.
So let's not be our fault. You know what I mean?
Well,
so.
I tried to scare them. I told them, like, hey, pretend you're on the radio like I was. If you swear on the radio, it's a $10,000 fine from the FCC, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And guess what? The university that I was at was not going to help me with that payment. They were just going to be like,
yeah. There's
good luck.
There's consequences to your actions, and again, cussing's not the worst thing in the world, but
no. Our parents taught us that, so that's a good thing.
You can get ejected in a baseball game for cussing, especially the F word.
We've seen that.
So you might as well learn how to filter it now in practice and training, so that it doesn't happen in a game. Because again, there's a lot of umpires you're not going to agree with. There's a lot of things that you're not going to like. But literally, one coach seeing you blow up on the field and cussing and having really bad body language or getting ejected, you know, that could make or break a scholarship.
I mean, we've seen what umpires can do recently. I mean, I have a video I made on a breakdown of an umpire making a terrible call because he let his emotions get into it, and it's because the players were acting out. So if an umpire is not even willing to stay in the game because your emotions are getting too high, you're overreacting, and he's making bad calls because he wants to get out of there, that leaks into other things. So you're right. I mean, you know, how you present yourself definitely matters. Yeah. So, well, we appreciate having you back on the podcast. I'm glad that I could be the host of this. If you guys want to find out where you can find me, I'm at the Taylor Price Podcast. I'm just the producer.
Yeah, check him out, man. He's doing a lot of great work for us. A lot of this video production stuff wouldn't be possible without him. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate that, brother. Well, the Price Brothers Coffee Podcast is coming soon,
sir.
So y'all better stay tuned. Yeah, we both had to get coffee.
And we're not loyal to any sort of brand. So
heck no.
If you want to send us coffee, maybe we'll be loyal to your brand.
I'm willing to. I just started drinking coffee like a year ago, so for me, it's like a learning experience.
Heck yeah, man.
See you guys next time.
Oh, see you guys.